Hello! You made it to Unit 3. You're through your first unit, and now we're going to move on to multiplying and dividing. Personally, I like this a lot more than I like the adding and subtracting of rational numbers, so I hope that you agree. Alright, so let's see. First off, you really need to pay attention to the sign of each number. Okay, because that's how you're going to make sure that you get the correct answer, at least when it comes to whether it's positive or negative. So there are like 4 different rules, kind of, more like 2, I guess, but rules for when you're multiplying positive and negative numbers. If all of them are positive, then your answer is going to be positive. That's just like normal multiplication that you've learned since, probably like 3rd grade. All right, so 3 times 5 equals 15. You know that, okay? The same is true if they're both negative, though. So negative times a negative equals a positive. I have an example here. Negative 3 times negative 5 equals positive 15. So if the signs are the same, your answer is positive. Okay? When we get different signs, so one of them is positive and one of them is negative, then your answer will be negative. So this example here, I have positive 3 times negative 5 equals negative 15. Same is true if they're flipped. So if the first one is negative and the second one is positive, your answer is still going to be negative. So if the signs are different, you get a negative answer. If they are the same, you get a positive answer. Okay, so let's go through some examples real quick, and hopefully you will find them helpful. I'm going to rearrange a little, make sure you can actually see everything. All right, we'll try that. Okay, our first example is 7 times negative 4. Well, that's like this example here. One of them is positive, one of them is negative, so therefore my answer is going to be negative. So you need to think to yourself, okay, my signs are different, so I know my answer is going to be negative. So now I just need to think, okay, well, what is 7 times 4? Okay, 7 times 4 is 28. Hopefully you have your multiplication facts memorized. If you don't, 1, practice them every day. Okay, it helps so much to just be able to just say them quickly. All right, practice them in the car. Practice them with your mom. Make it a game. Do it with your siblings, right? Like, there's lots of different things. Or set a timer and just do 10 minutes a day. Practice them for 10 minutes a day until you're good with them. Otherwise, I do have a multiplication chart on my message board, so if you need that, go for it. All right? But that's it. That's the answer. And we're done. Pretty cool, right? Number 2. On your, oh gosh, I think it's your practice. I think it's the practice on page 16. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's from a quick check, from your quick check, I don't know. But I think it's a practice. Negative 2/9 times 1/7. And we just want to know, is this going to be a positive or a negative answer? Right? Well, you have a negative times a positive. If we looked at that, if you go back to that chart that we just had on the previous page, a negative times a positive gives you a negative answer. All right, so in this case, this would be negative. Okay, if the signs are the same, then you have a positive answer. Number 3, show an example of the commutative property of multiplication. Now, I'm almost positive this is from your quick check on page 17. On page 11 of your lesson, it talks about the commutative property. So if you skipped over that, or if you didn't write anything down from it, or if you forget, go back to page 11, all right? But an example of the commutative property, so commutative property means that the order that you multiply stuff in doesn't matter, okay? So an example could be 3 times 5. I don't know why those are my numbers of choice today, but 3 times 5 is the same thing as 5 times 3. Okay? 3 times 5 we know is 15. Well, 5 times 3 is also equal to 15. Okay? So whether I have 3 groups of 5 or 5 groups of 3, either way I've got 15. That's the commutative property. Commute means to move, right? So commute, I moved the order of these and it didn't change my answer. Okay, and my last example, -5 times -4. Well, one, we got to focus on those signs, right? They're both negative, okay? And if they're both negative, I'm going to have a positive answer. Okay, if the signs are the same, you have a positive answer. And 5 times 4 is 20. So my answer is just positive 20. All right, guys, I hope that helped. That should get you pretty far in your practice and your quick check. But as always, let me know if you need more help than that. Okay? Have a great day.